The following program, The Russ Belville Show, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate to the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate any illegal activity and encourage all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers on The Russ Belville Show are their own, and The Russ Belville Show cannot be held legally responsible for their validity or reliability. Viewer discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. Then it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Yeah, I hear you had a question for me.
Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
We love it.
Good day, tokers and tokets, and welcome. It is Thursday, June 27th, 2013, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Welcome to the show. Really excited to get to today's show. We got a couple of great guests. Before I mention that, I got to give a shout out to Cheryl Schumann, Simi Dillon, and Lindsay Reinhart. They just posted their status that they had finished up taping with ABC's The View to talk about moms and marijuana. I think that show will be on tomorrow's episode of The View. Don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure. Haven't double checked, but we'll keep you posted here and let you know. All right, on today's show, speaking of folks that have been on TV lately, Neill Franklin, the executive director of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, joins us on today's show, and we are so excited to have him here. He's getting a lot of national airplay as the director of LEAP, and we're going to ask him about his latest appearance on CNN and the Piers Morgan show, where he faced off against Patrick Kennedy and Kevin Sabet from Project Sam. And I have to compliment him on the most perfect question that he asked Patrick Kennedy and never got an answer on. Plus, on today's show at 45 after, we're going to visit with Anna Diaz, one of the NORML Women's Alliance members, winner of the Pauline Sabin Award, affiliated with the World Famous Cannabis Cafe. There is a big fundraiser going on Saturday, and we are covering it live here in Portland, Oregon, Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific for the Southern Oregon 4. That includes Lori and Lee Duckworth there from Southern Oregon NORML. We're going to get together at Plu's Brews. We've got a whole bunch of great bands coming in. We're going to try to raise some money to help with their legal fees. So check us out on Saturday night, 7 p.m. Pacific, right here on 420radio.org. And check us out in about 45 minutes when we talk to Anna Diaz and find out what's going on with that fundraiser and other items of interest here in the state of Oregon, where we've got two bills that have headed to the governor's desk. It's so awesome. We'll tell you more about that in Toker Talk Radio. Also, we've got Behind the Headlines today. We're going to take a look at the underground of the internet, the Tor networks, bitcoins, and all that kind of stuff, and how the DEA is starting to catch on. Also in Toker Talk Radio, we'll take your calls at 971-533-7111. We got plenty to talk about and 2 hours to get it done. Thanks for joining us here at the Russ Belville Show. Stick around.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisements because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Cast your eyes up to the skies. What is it to live and die?
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa. Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
This is your 420 Radio News for Thursday, June 27, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Hawaii governor signs measures amending state's medical cannabis program, from the Weed blog. Democrat Governor Neil Abercrombie yesterday signed 2 measures into law to amend the state's 13-year-old medical marijuana program. House Bill 668 transfers the administration of the state's medicinal cannabis program from the Department of Public Safety to the Department of Public Health. It also establishes a special fund for the program within the state treasury. Senate Bill 642 increases the quantity of medical cannabis that may be possessed by qualified patients from 3 ounces to 4 ounces. The measure also increases the total number of mature plants that may be legally grown by qualified patients at any one time from 3 to 7. The changes in law will become effective in January 2015. DEA launches largest ever synthetic drug bust, from U.S. News and World Report. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration announced on Wednesday that it has launched its largest ever sweep against synthetic drugs, issuing hundreds of search and arrest warrants across the globe. Law enforcement officials executed more than 150 arrest warrants and nearly 375 search warrants in 35 states, 49 cities, and 5 countries on Wednesday, according to a DEA statement. More than 225 people have been arrested in the United States, Australia, Canada, Barbados, and Panama as a result of the crackdown, BBC News reported. Designer synthetic drugs are often marketed to teenagers and young adults as herbal incense or other seemingly harmless products, such as bath salts, but have led to an increase in overdoses and emergency room visits, according to the administration. Those who abuse the drugs have suffered from seizures, hallucinations, significant organ damage, and in some cases death, according to the DEA. Since the project began last December, more than 75 arrests have been made and nearly $15 million in cash and assets have been seized, according to DEA officials. Millions of profits from trafficking the designer drugs have ended up in Middle Eastern countries, said Derek Maltz, who heads the DEA's Special Operations Division. Quote, the bad guys need money to fund their operations. The bad guys need money to buy their explosives, to buy their guns. End quote. City Council votes to ban medical marijuana dispensaries in Bakersfield, from BakersfieldCalifornian.com. The Bakersfield City Council on Wednesday approved an ordinance banning medical marijuana dispensaries within city limits, following testimony from 3 residents in favor of and 4 residents against the ban. The ordinance, which will take effect in approximately 30 days, is modeled after a similar example in Riverside, which recently was upheld in a decision by the California Supreme Court allowing cities to ban dispensaries. Bakersfield's ordinance will prohibit the operation in all zones of the city, from residential to commercial. The ordinance makes closing dispensaries a civil matter, not a criminal one, unless crimes are found to have been occurring at the dispensary. After investigating a dispensary with a complaint against it, the city would then have to take its case to civil court. No more drug tests for driver's license applicants in the Philippines, from philstar.com. The panel crafting the implementation rules and regulations of the anti-drunk and drug driving law has scrapped the requirement of drug testing for applicants for driver's licenses. Starting today, there will be no more drug tests for license applicants. Cat seeks to clear the air on marijuana ticket, from politicsonthehudson.com. Assemblyman Steve Katz spoke at length publicly today about his marijuana possession ticket in March, saying he was not impaired when he was stopped for speeding and allegedly found to have had a bag of marijuana in the car. Katz, the second-term lawmaker, didn't address whether he was in fact in possession of marijuana as police alleged. Katz said he smoked marijuana in college. He didn't say if he still smokes marijuana. Katz this year voted in favor of the decriminalization of small amounts of marijuana and medical marijuana. He said his own marijuana case had nothing to do with his votes. He had previously voted against medical marijuana. Cannabis probably contributed to motocross rider's death. I'm sorry, I got the wrong headline here. Let's just remind you at the end of the news that we've got a big fundraiser coming up this Saturday at the Blues Brews in Portland, Oregon. You can get more information by visiting our blog at 420radio.org. We'll be covering it live 7 p.m. Saturday night, Pacific time, right here for the Southern Oregon 4, the 4 defendants in the marijuana raids in Medford and Grants Pass. This has been your 420 Radio News for Thursday, June 27, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines to take a look at the underground in the market for drugs on the internet. The Bitcoin, the Silk Road, and the Tor network. If these are new terms to you, you want to stay tuned. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org.
Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, The Russ Belville Show, Ganja John, and Cascadia Concentrates, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Adam's meticulous designs are individually crafted and screened in vibrant high-definition color. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org.
Let 'em bring in the beat.
Yar! Thar be pirates here! Har, 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 har.
Welcome back, everybody. Time for us to go behind the headlines. It's just about 13 after, and I saw a headline that came up. This was from the TechCrunch blog, and the headline was, "The DEA seized Bitcoins in a Silk Road drug raid." Now, if some of those terms don't make much sense to you, let me just kind of give you the primer here on some of these terminologies. As has been throughout history, whenever there's prohibition, people find ways to get their product to market, get their thing distributed. And in the internet era, we have such ways. They're anonymous, underground, encrypted ways of being able to do all sorts of transactions, some of which happen to be drugs. Now, the leading area where people go to this is something called the Silk Road, which is a allusion to the old Silk Road, the actual Silk Road between China and Europe, where, you know, spices were traded and such, opium and all sorts of things. So it's named after that. But the Silk Road is basically an internet marketplace for drugs and probably all sorts of other stuff. But we'll just stick to drugs for right now. And part of how this works is through a series of encryptions, and that's a thing called a Tor network, T-O-R. And the Tor network is just kind of like a shell or a redistributor. It just kind of masks who you are, anonymously shuffles your packets of information on the internet through other encrypted servers, so nobody can track who you are or what you're doing. At least that's what the promise is. Now, I've always been of the cynical nature that anything digital can be hacked, and probably is. And I'm also of the cynical nature that the DEA's got a whole bunch of money to pay all sorts of hackers that they catch for all sorts of other things to try to hack into things like Silk Road. So that caught my eye when I heard that there was a seizure in a Silk Road drug raid. Like, okay, now they're starting to catch on as to how these internet transactions are going on. Now, the other part of this story is Bitcoins. And this is where the seizure is kind of new. There's been prosecutions before with respect to people doing transactions online, internet transactions, online pharmacies, even some Silk Road stuff. But the Bitcoin thing is new. Now, for those of you who don't know exactly what Bitcoin is an online currency, and it's stateless, and it's bankless. It's basically people, it's like an open source money, if you want to call it that. And people have these Bitcoins that they get, which is just really a digital token, a string of encrypted zeros and ones, really, that identify these coins. And these coins, don't think, I hate the term Bitcoin because it makes it sound like it's not worth very much. One Bitcoin can be worth hundreds of dollars, right? They're traded in the hundredths or even the thousandths sometimes out there, right? And their value is constantly changing based on how many people are hoarding them, owning them, trading them. It's really phenomenally interesting from a numismatic point of view, but don't want to go too deep into that. Let's just say here that Bitcoins are an online currency. They're an online electronic currency that have no real cash equivalent in the real world, although you can cash them in for cash. And that's how a lot of these online anonymous encrypted transactions are working. So this was the story coming out of TechCrunch, and it was a notification that on June 23rd, the DEA had, they posted one of their forfeiture notices. You know, we've talked a lot on this show about civil asset forfeiture. You get caught for drugs or whatever, and they charge your money with a crime, and then they take it. And then you have to prove that your money wasn't illegal by hiring a lawyer with the money that they've got sitting on, right? But we've talked about asset forfeiture before. This is the first case we can find, though, where they used asset forfeiture to seize Bitcoins. The standard forfeiture notice announced that it had seized 11.02 Bitcoins from a Silk Road user named Eric Daniel Hughes, aka Casey Jones, after charging him with the intent to distribute drugs. The notification notes a BTC wallet account number and the price, which at the time the 11.02 Bitcoins were valued at $814.22. And the little note here, 13 DEA 581051, 11.02 Bitcoins, account number, blah, 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 big long series alphanumeric code, $814.22, which was seized in Charleston, South Carolina from Eric Daniel Hughes. Now, first of all, the first thing about that is the DEA has a Bitcoin account. Because to be able to seize those funds, those Bitcoins, it's not like you go to the ATM and you punch in your card and it kicks out $814.22. The DEA has to have its own Bitcoin account. So here we've got a government agency adding legitimacy to the emerging market of Bitcoins. Because there's still some question in a lot of places. You know, some governments don't like the idea of this open source kind of currency. They like to control money, right? So the DEA's got a Bitcoin account. That's pretty amazing. But the other thing is, how did they know he had a Bitcoin account? All these things are supposed to be anonymous. They're supposed to be encrypted when they're doing tours and all this. So how did they discover this guy's stash? TechCrunch points it out that does this mean, it says, while the seizure of cash isn't unusual in itself, it is definitely the first time Bitcoin users have seen a significant chunk of the cryptocurrency disappear into a government evidence book. And now, it could be just old-fashioned sleuthing. They did find that this guy was kind of incautious. He didn't use any drop addresses. He was using his own personal address online. So, you know, they caught one of the dumb ones. I don't know if this spells doom for everyone out there using Silk Road, Tor, and Bitcoin and all of that. But this is pretty fascinating that they've got their own account and they're able to tap into what's going on here in these Silk Road networks. There's a website also, Let's Talk Bitcoin, that had a lot to say about this, where they were pointing out that the Bitcoin, the scenario that they're talking about is one where U.S. authorities set up what they call a honeypot account to attract this money to come in here. And there's another 17.24 Bitcoin transaction that was transferred in and out of their DEA account. And they go into great data here in this Let's Talk Bitcoin.com onto how this DEA consolidation is working. There's all sorts of information you can read here. I'll post the Let's talkbitcoin.com, onto our chat room, and also techcrunch.com if you'd like to read more about it. You can donate to us in Bitcoins, or can you? I don't know. I don't think they can yet.
I don't know.
What do you got to do for that, Brian?
I don't know if I want to look into it.
Yeah, not anymore. We're going to smoke some bud coins. We'll be right back.
Funny reefer man, reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man, reefer man? If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Marijuana and alcohol are the two most popular recreational drugs in America. Marijuana smoking is non-toxic, relatively safe, and has a low risk of dependence. Alcohol drinking is potentially fatal, dangerous to society, and is quite addictive. Marijuana is safer, so why are we driving people to drink? That's the question of the new book, Marijuana is Safer, So Why Are We Driving People to Drink? By Paul Armentano, Mason Tvert, and Steve Fox. Visit Amazon.com or ChelseaGreen.com today to order your copy of Marijuana is Safer, or visit marijuanaissafer.com.
That's right. His Big Daddy spinning the stacks of wax all night long over at the funky roller rink, baby. Come on by.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Groovin' Thursday, featuring rap, hip-hop, soul, and funk music. You can get downloads and more information about all our Daily Toker Tunes by visiting music.radicalruss.com. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tunes.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Time for us to get our 20 after break on with our good friend Bago Schwago, who we've got on the Skype. How you doing, Bago?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, Russ?
I'm doing much cooler now.
I was about to say, I bet you're happy as can be up north now and out of here.
Now that it's actually summer there, what are you guys hitting in Arizona?
Well, I'm in Tucson, which is a couple hours below, so, we're a couple degrees less. I think this week we're going to hit 110 or so, but I think Phoenix this week might be hitting 120 somewhere way up there, which is no fun. I don't want to be up there.
That's, folks, that's hot enough that when you get in your car and you turn on the air conditioner, you're just fighting a losing battle. It doesn't even get the car cool.
Well, it's like you step outside and you're standing in front of a hairdryer is the best way I can describe it. I mean, there's no cool breeze. It's a hairdryer. Everywhere you go, it's a hairdryer.
Oh, man, I had a good time in Arizona, though. Too bad I didn't get down to Tucson, but we are looking in to rebooking a lot of those dates for the FNAs and the NORML tour, so we will take a look at that. And once we know, we'll definitely let you know down there in Arizona.
Absolutely. I'd love to come out and see you, and you can we'll go get some good Mexican food, and I'll show you around Tucson.
Looking forward to it. All right, let's get to our tune for today. I got the picture up there from Nutty. Is that who we're talking about today?
Well, actually, you've sent me a few emails from people who've listened and submitted stuff, and I haven't pulled any of them out. And I was going through them, and I found this guy, and his name is Nutty, and the song's 420, and it's a good song. And I wanted to say also to people out there listening is I know you've traveled, you've probably picked up some new listeners, and if they've got music, submit it. We always like new music, so.
All right, well, let's get to it. This is Nutty with 420, because we need another song called 420.
Never forget the
exactly.
time I smoked coke. Sweet Chiba. We call this kid the after-school special smoker. He spends all of his allowance on reefer. Thanks, little buddy.
Got blunt?
Got weed?
Smoke like it's 420 every day. It's for the Cali shots, lead the way. Smoke like it's 420 every day. It's for the cancer patients, eat, pray. Smoke like it's 420 every day. It's for the prisons filling up, legislate. Smoke like it's 420 every day. Decriminalized red eyes. Baby boomers been retired, but they never been higher. 7 days a week, 7 grams. A quarter past 4 plus 5 weed, man. It's on speed dial, doing service to the hood. Damn, he a reason why niggas feel good in the living hell. I just speak for my people and so I give them hell. I'm on that Afghani bomb shit, infidel. I'm on that blueberry crime shit, Gargamel. Grandmother fucking, now ain't nobody stressing me. Got a sweet tooth, I'ma need a brownie recipe. High in the munchies at the same damn time. Booth in the stage with the same damn rhyme. This is a digital petition, nothing sinister. Run it back, this how I get your signature. This issue ain't miniature, it's heavyweight. I like to levitate. Get your heady straight. Smoke like it's 420 every day. It's for the Cali shots, lead the way. Smoke like it's 420 every day. It's for the cancer patients, eat, pray. Smoke like it's 420 every day. It's for the prisons filling up, legislate. Smoke like it's 420 every day. Decriminalize red eyes. Advocate of child safety, even sad ass mids. It's the reason some of you ain't killed your bad ass kids. It's the reason some of you ain't cussed out your boss. The reason some of you ain't try to cut your spouse. They working your nerves, so you gotta calm down. She working with curves, so I pass the blunt around. Feeling sick, can't eat, can't sleep, and you telling me I can't roll something? She ain't smiled in weeks, no frontin', all of a sudden we giggling for nothing, it's a done deal. We just needed the paper and so we run kill. If I can get a better day, I bet the ones will. Would it be nice if we could have a special garden? Save a couple dollars while I'm at a plant some college. Protect them from the boys, they only want one thing. I'm raising little ladies, not sluts, so I sing. So smoke like it's 420 every day. It's for the Cali shots, lead the way. Smoke like it's 420 every day. It's for the cancer patients, eat, pray. Smoke like it's 420 every day. It's for the prisons filling up, legislate. Smoke like it's 420 every day. Decriminalize red eyes. Fucking for sour D's, brace for the train wreck. Duck to make it 47s, that's the same bet. I'm on my milk shit, searching for white widows. If it's skunk like, I'm on my bike pedals. Original generals, I'm smelling OG. It's shady in the northern lights, that's what they told me. I'm in my purple haze, looking on Mary Jane. She give me Hetty's blue dreams, yeah, I got it made. Swimming with white sharks, I'm a beaster. Inhaling God's breath, but it ain't Easter. Maybe I holler at Reggie and leave the white alone. I'm on my Illadelph shit, but not a victim. Political sitcom, laugh track phony. Thinking about my safety, getting half-back money. If they get their hands on it, they gon' stash that money. Of course, you don't have to ask, homie. Yeah.
This is Mary Jane. Meet her. Say hello to her. Shake her hand.
Like that shit, smoke that shit, pass that shit.
So, Sarah, what's going on here? Sarah? Sarah?
She won't answer you. Or she can't.
Why not?
This is the way it's been since she started smoking pot. She's all lazy and boring and... You know, we used to have so much fun together.
And now?
This is what we do.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Will. I don't work at a used record store. I don't own an iguana, although I'm sure they make great pets. I don't have dreadlocks or play the acoustic guitar. I can remember quite well, thank you, and no, I don't constantly have the munchies. When 420 comes around, I've still got 40 minutes of work left. I've never hit a girl on a bike with my car or shot my friend with a shotgun. I've never had to apologize for letting a girl I was watching drown in a pool while I was getting high because, duh, I wouldn't be getting high if I was around children. I'm a regular guy who works regular jobs, just like the majority of all Americans who use marijuana occasionally and responsibly. My name is Will. and I'm NORML.
One of the most disturbing elements of the Prohibition War is how it's made police the enemy of otherwise law-abiding cannabis consumers. Fortunately, one group of police officers knows the futility of prohibition and reaches out to educate the community and current law enforcement. Today, the Russ Belville Show visits with another speaker from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition with one clear message: cops say legalize drugs.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Really excited to have our next guest joining us, the Executive Director of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. Neill Franklin is on the line. Neill, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Russ, thanks for having me back on.
I'm glad to have you here. I mean, taking time out of your real busy schedule. I saw you on CNN recently. How was that?
It was interesting, man.
Yeah,
it always is. You expect one thing and you end up with something else, but I think I made my point.
Yeah. What were you expecting going in there, and what did you get?
Well, I was expecting a little bit more time because that's what was planned when I agreed to go on a show with the producer, and I think the prior guest, Dr. Drew, decided to hang around and he chewed up time that should have been devoted to other folks, but. I was expecting 2 segments. Of course, we only ended up with 1, and therefore I wasn't able to challenge Patrick Kennedy a little bit more. He never answered my question about his prison stay. I don't think he really spent any time in prison, but I wanted to hear from him to make my point that the affluent aren't subjected to prison as the poor and people of color, related to the drug war.
Yeah, I thought that was absolutely brilliant, and I know how these segments end up getting whittled away, and to be able to drop a bomb like that on him, the look on his face was priceless. I think the actual question you said was, I'd like to know, Patrick, how your time in prison helped you beat your addiction. Or something like that.
Right.
It was just wonderful.
That was it. That was it, yeah.
And in true politician fashion, he filibustered his way out of actually answering the question. And, of course, like you mentioned, he didn't do any time in prison. He wrecked his car twice in the span of 6 weeks on OxyContin and alcohol and got a ride home from the cops.
Correct.
Wow. All right. So in these debates, in these televised instances, and of course, those of you that are working with LEAP, that's like one of your main things is getting there in front of the public and being able to change hearts and minds. And of course, as former police, you can do that better than almost anyone. We do have a lot of concern on our side here when we see these new kinder, gentler drug warriors, this whole Project Sam idea of throwing us into rehabs instead of jails. In your mind, what is the most effective way? I mean, obviously that question was one effective way, but what's the most effective way of dealing with these new third way type rehab arguments?
Well, I think that even with their new way of arguing, I think it's still quite clear that the one solution, the one effective solution, is pretty much to end prohibition altogether. Even with what they were saying, even if they were to go as far as decriminalization, and that's kind of like what they were saying, they're saying, we agree with you, we shouldn't be putting people in prison, you can't arrest your way out of this thing, blah, 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 even though they didn't say decriminalization. But many people forget that alcohol prohibition was, in fact, decriminalization. It was only illegal to manufacture, transport, and to sell booze. It wasn't illegal to drink it. It wasn't illegal to consume it or possess it. And they still saw the need, because of the violence within our communities, because of the dangerous alcohol that was being distributed within our communities, bathtub gin and what have you. After 13 years, they felt the need. We need to end it. They had to end alcohol prohibition. So I just want people to realize that to decriminalize marijuana and other drugs in this country it's the same as alcohol prohibition. So, I mean, there's only one clear answer. That's to end it. That's to develop forms of regulation and control. I think we can learn from alcohol of some of the roads not to travel down. And so, you know, again, folks like Kevin Sabet and Patrick Kennedy, they have a vested interest in maintaining this drug war. You know, whether it's well, Kevin Sabet, he's a consultant. He makes a lot of money taking the position that he takes. There's so much money being made, billions of dollars being made in treatment, but more so in drug testing. And that seems to be where these people float, you know. So, you know, I just think we just have to keep making the case to end prohibition altogether, because that's the only way that we're going to keep people out of prison. That's the only way we're going to stop the violence in our neighborhoods. There really is no in-between. You know, we've tried for years to ramp up our treatment and education. Don't get me wrong, we still have to do that. That's our main focus, treatment and education. But the bottom line, at the end of the day, we got to stop putting people in prison, and we got to end the violence in our neighborhoods. And the only way you can do that is to legalize it.
You know, with that comparison to alcohol prohibition being kind of a decriminalization, one could say that alcohol prohibition was a market prohibition. It was a prohibition not on alcohol, but on the alcohol market. And in a similar way, I think these Project Sam types want to maintain drug market prohibition, but they're a little squishier on the whole possession thing. They're willing to go a little lighter. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, Russ, I do agree with that. I think you hit that one. I think another piece of it is that, you know, they've been pushing so hard at this for years to maintain prohibition, you know, and coming at it from this, what about the kids? You know, we need to do, you know, whatever we got to do to keep marijuana and other drugs away from our kids. And, you know, they've been taking this strong position for so long. You know, it's not easy to say, gee, you know what? We were wrong about this. And then to come all the way, you know, to where we are. So they're slowly inching their way along, you know, making a gradual shift in their rhetoric, because really it's all about rhetoric. They haven't really changed their stance on this. It's about saving face is what it really is. You know, there's only a few people that have really come out and said, you know what? Yeah, I was all the way there. You know what? I was wrong. And now I'm all the way here where I need to be. You know, they're just going to inch their way along, and eventually they'll end up where we are. There's only one place to be at the end of the day.
Yeah. Even hardcore conservatives like Bob Barr of Georgia came around eventually.
Absolutely. You know, so my hat is off to those people that have the courage to say, you know what? Yeah, I was wrong. You know, prohibition makes more drugs available to our kids. You know why? Because we've turned the management system completely over to criminals. You know, and criminals do not have our children's welfare. They do not care about our children's welfare.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, to them it's about making money. And if I got to hire kids to sell drugs to other kids, that's what I'm going to do to make my money.
Oh, and especially
that's the system. That's the system that these folks have embraced.
Yeah, and especially a system where juveniles get prosecuted less harshly. You know, you reduce the risk.
Absolutely, it's a smart business decision for those folks who are in the illegal business of distributing drugs. I mean, use kids, because they're not going to have the hammer dropped on them if I'm to bring 18 and 20-year-olds into my business.
We're speaking with Neill Franklin, retired from Baltimore Narcotics Division, and also the Executive Director of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. And I want to make sure you're not drinking anything before I ask this next question, because this was something that Kevin Sabet mentioned in an op-ed recently. I think it was in the New York Times, as a matter of fact.
Well, Russ, full disclosure here, man, I am drinking something, and it's pretty strong, man. I knew it was coming on your show, and I had to get the strongest beverage that I could, and this coffee, man, it's really kicking butt.
I just want to protect your laptop or anything from the spit take you'll do when I ask you about Kevin Sabet's position that legalizing marijuana would be worse for urban neighborhoods, for people of color, because like the liquor stores, the pot shops would proliferate in the neighborhoods.
Oh, my God. You know, right now we have a pot shop, we have a heroin shop, we have a cocaine shop on just about every corner in our neighborhoods in urban America. You know, whether it's a black neighborhood or whether it's a poor neighborhood. Of course, we don't have them on the corners in Baltimore here in the wonderful, affluent community of Roland Park.
No.
But I'm telling you, man, in the hood, we have that on every single corner, and they don't card our kids when they come up to the person selling. You know? So it can't get any worse than what it is, even if his rhetoric were to come true, which I know it wouldn't anyway. But even if it were, it can't get any worse than what it is.
Right, right. I can't imagine that mothers in the city are more worried about the pot shop on the corner that checks ID than the guys in the corner that are shooting it out over the turf.
But remember now, alcohol, you know, has been socially accepted by us for since, as he put it, almost the beginning of time. You know, I think he even referenced, you know, the Bible and so on. Like, cannabis hasn't been growing before we started using alcohol. What's with him?
Yeah, it's that culture argument, which I kind of welcome the culture argument, because then we can say, oh, so it really isn't about how harmful the drugs are. It's about how popular they are, how long-term they are. Well, cannabis has been used popularly here. 1611 for hemp, 1840 for medical, 1900s Cab Calloway, Louis Armstrong for recreational. How much more time do we need?
Yeah, I guess what he was saying is this is a cult. Is it a culture war then that we had?
Yeah.
I mean, what's interesting, he even did say, you know, that it's a war on people, and that, you know, what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he wouldn't have said anything like that. So as I said, they're slowly changing their rhetoric. You know, now it is a war on people, according to them. And it's a war on people in more than one way, not just by incarceration, but it's a war on people because their neighborhoods have been and continue to be devastated. You know, it's a war on people because not just is it difficult for them who have been arrested to get jobs once they are out of prison, but there are no jobs available in their neighborhoods because of the violence that's generated from the drug trade. Businesses will not invest in many of these communities. Mm-hmm. And it's, you know, at every turn, we've got significant problems from prohibition. Whether we're talking jobs, whether we're talking health, whether we're talking education, whether we're talking crime. Baltimore, over the past 6 days, Russ, has had 10 homicides. Actually, 8 of them occurred just over the past weekend, and I think they're now up to 28 shootings within that same time span. So the police department, they gather the troops, they go out in the streets, they make a few drug arrests. You know, they have their press release, they do their dog and pony show on TV, but at the end of the day, those arrests that they've made, those spots have already been filled, you know, and business goes on. So the shootings will continue, the murders will continue, and you know, I don't know. It's so frustrating at times, but I am happy to see the progress that we are making little by little. And at the end of the day, we're going to get there.
Yeah, I think so, and especially with the leadership that I'm seeing out of LEAP, I'm seeing you guys everywhere now. There was a Rolling Stone article I was reading with, about 4 of you that I've interviewed. Norm Stamper, Stephen Downing was in it, Jamie Haas. What great work you guys are doing. How has this changed your operation being executive director of LEAP? Has it put a lot more on your plate?
Oh, yeah, it's put a lot more on my plate, but I've been very fortunate. Let me talk a little bit about what you just said, is you know, how you've been seeing, you know, LEAP speakers all over the place. One of the best things that ever happened to our organization recently to make this happen, to facilitate this, is a guy by the name of Mike Smithson. And I got to say something about Mike right now. Mike Smithson, number one, he is the architect of our Speakers Bureau that he designed for the organization probably about maybe 6 years ago. Might be a little off, but somewhere around 6 years ago. He then left the organization a couple years back to do some things on his own, different from drug policy work. And he recently came back to the organization in January. We were fortunate enough to have him come back. And he has been on fire organizing our speakers, bringing new speakers into our ranks. The organization is growing like crazy, largely in part of Mike. And unfortunately, a couple weeks ago, Mike has taken ill. And he's in the hospital right now, but you're not going to believe this. Mike is in the hospital with his laptop in his hospital bed alongside of his cell phone, and he hasn't broken stride. This is the type of passion and dedication, members of this organization have. And that's why we've been able to do what we've been doing over the past couple of months and putting our speakers out there. And we know as we continue to grow and to continue to put our speakers out there, we're going to bring an end to this. And we're going to continue to bring more law enforcement folks into our camp to make this happen.
I agree. It's coming. So Neill Franklin with Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, copssaylegalisedrugs.com, or just go to leap.cc for more information. Anyone can be a supporter. If you're past law enforcement, you might even become a speaker. Neill, thanks for joining us, and keep up the good work.
Russ, thank you, and I love you, man. Love your work. Thank you for all that you do.
I'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Okay. Bye-bye.
When we come back, we got Anna Diaz from NORML Women's Alliance to talk about a fundraiser for the Southern Oregon 4. Stick around.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com. Warning. Hits taken on this show are larger than they appear. Do not try this at home. These people are professionals. Or at least they pay me to say that. Activism begins with ACT. The Russ Belville Show features the stories of hardworking grassroots activists working for an end to prohibition in today's activist agenda.
Welcome back, everybody. It's 48 after the hour, and we're going to go to our phone lines and get Anna Diaz on the line from the NORML Women's Alliance, also a former winner of, well, I should say a winner of, you're not the former winner, you're still a winner of, the Pauline Sabin Award. Anna, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Russ?
A little goofy, I think, but I'm doing okay.
Yeah, well.
It's late in the day, right?
That's right. You're allowed.
We are calling because we have got a great fundraiser that we're covering this Saturday at Blues Brews, and I just want to give you a chance to tell people all about it, why this is so important.
Okay. Well, it's going to be, like you said, at Blues Brews in North Portland. The exact address is 8409 North Lombard Street, and the zip code is 97203 in case you want to put it into your MapQuest or your phone navigation so that you can get up there. And the reason we're doing this is my good friend Lori Duckworth from Medford, Oregon, has been in charge of a safe access point in the Medford area for 5 years, where they've been helping patients all that time. And they got raided on May 23rd. And she and her husband and two other people, David Bond and Michael Shano, from two other safe access points, also got raided that same day. It was clearly political because they did it the day before a furlough day and left them to languish in the jail until Tuesday. And the initial bond to get them out was $550,000, which seems absurd to me. So the original judge recused himself because of his prejudice against medical marijuana patients and the program.
Really?
And when they got a new judge...
In that case with him recusing himself, what's the reason? Does anyone know what cases he was on that did that?
I'm not really sure. I don't know all the details about that. I just know that he did do that. And probably Paul Loney or Lee Berger, who are the Duckworth attorneys, would have more information about why he did that. I'm just glad he did.
Yeah,
because
really.
after they put the new judge on, the bail was reduced to $5,000 instead of $550,000. And eventually they removed the no contact order that they had put in place, that the Duckworths weren't allowed to be in the same room, in the same house. They've been married for over 20 years, and they've never been apart more than a weekend. And they ended up, because of this no contact order, they were separated for 25 days. It's the longest they'd ever been apart.
Wow.
At a time when they probably needed each other more than ever. So I can't even imagine what that must have been like for them.
No kidding. Now, what are the charges that they're fighting and they're fundraising to fight?
They are fighting 22 counts, 11 apiece, I guess, of selling marijuana within 1,000 feet of a school. Because what happened is a private school moved in to 1,000 feet away from them after they'd already been in doing what they do for 3 years. So 2 years ago, this private school moved in, which I don't understand why the zoning people would allow that to happen, but that's what's happening there. And of course, the defense is going to be big. It's going to be expensive, and they're going to lose a lot of time, and they're going to need help. They need our help. So I'm not one to sit around and just say, "Gee, these people need some help." I did what I do. I decided to throw a party.
There we go.
So, yeah, we had a lot of success with the Brave Michaela fundraiser that we did down at the World Famous Cannabis Cafe, and the cannabis community has rallied just like it did for that event. And we're going to be having a silent auction, and we're going to be having a raffle, and the World Famous Cannabis Cafe has set up a jar on the bar there that they've already collected $200 towards the defense fund too. And I understand that you're going to be joining us and streaming live at the event.
Yeah, we're going to come down there, stream live. We'll figure a way to get some online donations flowing as well.
I think that's going to be so exciting. And I know Randy Plew, the owner of Plew's Brews, who was kind enough to donate the space to us, is really excited to meet you. He's like, "Oh, I can't wait."
Well, we're going to have a good time.
I think it's going to be a really fun event.
Yep, we're going to have a good time. Me and Herb will be down there.
He's donating $1 a beer.
Oh, $1 a beer? Well, I'll definitely
so designated driver, and come on.
Hell yeah. All right, and of course it's Portland, so you can designate a bus to drive you, man. We got a great bus system. Let's talk about the entertainment that you've got. Lots of great acts that'll be here for people to donate.
Yes, and I'm really excited about that. All the musicians are donating their time, which I'm so grateful to them all. Cascadia Rising and DJ Brain Food are two acts that performed at Plew's Brews for the Measure 80 fundraiser we had there, and they're returning to perform for us again. And then also the band Get Down Jones and the Libra Twins, who also have performed for us at prior fundraisers are going to be there. And then the highlight of the evening for me is my good friends J-Mac and Big Dub are going to be performing also. So we're going to have a really wide variety of music, some folk music to start the evening, some funky soul and blues, and then some hip-hop from J-Mac and Big Dub. And we're closing out the night with a little bit of trance and a little bit of electronic dance music. So
this is going to be a fun time. We're going to start at 7 o'clock Pacific time. Any idea how late we'll run?
2 a.m.
Oh, I don't know. I'm awfully old. I don't know if I can stay up that late.
You'll always be younger than me, Russ.
I guess that's true. I guess that's true. All right. So we will be bringing you the streaming coverage here at 420radio.org. Make sure you check that out.
Yes. And also we're going to have a tent set up or an area set up special for OMMP patients to medicate out of public view. So
excellent.
So we can accommodate everybody. So OMMP people can bring their non-OMMP people. The beer drinkers can bring their OMMP people. And we can all get together and have a really good time and help our family to the south.
Yeah, and this is so great that we're all banding together to help each other out. You know, I feel like in the last, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years, the Oregon statewide cannabis community has really, banded together and, figured out ways to work together on things. And I think it's leading to such great things like these recent 2 bills that just are about to get signed. We're going to have misdemeanor. Right. The misdemeanor quarter pound of weed, quarter ounce of hash law, and we got the PTSD passed for the medical marijuana.
Right, and you don't lose your driver's license anymore. Right. I'm excited about that one.
Yep, that's fantastic.
Because you remember that guy a million years ago that we visited with named Joel? He lived out at Rockaway Beach, and he lost his driver's license even though he got busted for a joint and he wasn't even driving. Remember that?
Yeah. A lot of people didn't realize that was a law.
Yeah. Right, and I remember he was furious. So finally that's happening for him too. Also, it looks like the dispensary bill is going to pass too, so
great news.
That could be really, really helpful for Lori and the rest of the Southern Oregon 4 too, because if that passes, then their bust becomes moot.
Yeah, why are you prosecuting someone for something that is legal now? We saw, when Washington State passed its I-502, that prosecutors in a lot of those counties just dropped a lot of the cases that were no longer illegal because they said, how are we going to seat a jury to punish people for doing something that's now legal?
Right, and I believe it was in Colorado, they were even letting people out of prison who were in prison for marijuana offenses. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of that happen.
Yeah, we've got a good chance with the Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum coming out in support of that bill. I believe it's out of the House and onto the Senate, right?
Right, that's right.
Fantastic. And there's so many changes happening here in the state of Oregon, but of course that doesn't mean that we're going to rest on our laurels and let Vancouver, Washington take all our weed money. So what's happening with legalization? Got any news there?
Well, the last thing I saw about the House Bill 3371, which was yesterday, is that it looks like it's not going to make it through the entire process, but they're talking about referring it to the voters as a referendum in February of 2014. So that's not that far off, and if they do it in February, it'll be a small election, kind of like how the Ellen Rosenblum thing happened, which really gives the cannabis community an opportunity to win.
Right.
In my opinion. Because the less voters that turn out and the more stoners that turn out to vote, then we got them.
That's right. It's a numbers game, and we can win it. We will see you on Saturday at 7 o'clock at Blues Brews. Join us live at 420radio.org for the live stream. Anna Diaz, NORML Women's Alliance, World Famous Cannabis Cafe. You can look them up online. Thanks for joining us here on the Russ Belville Show.
Thanks, Russ.
All right, that's all the time we got here for Hour 1, but stay tuned for Hour 2. We got all sorts of interesting stories to cover, including the Dallas Cowboys player who, there's a development in his story as far as his vehicular intoxication manslaughter charge. Also, we're going to talk a little bit more about those Bitcoins and some stuff on, where's that story, dang it? I'm getting all lost. Oh, on meth. There we go. For Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show.
Meth, of course.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
Can't you